And we start today with the absolute state of Britain. What started out as such a promising year for Reform UK is just turning into an unmitigated disaster. There was a statement issued by Reform, statement saying it is with regret we feel obligated to disclose the party received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in the offices of the Member of Parliament for Great Yarmouth, Rupert Lowe. One worked in his parliamentary office, the other in his constituency office. We understand complaints are being made to parliamentary authorities. Evidence was provided to us of workplace bullying, the targeting of female staff who raised concerns, and evidence of derogatory and discriminatory remarks made about women, including reference to a perceived disability. We feel we have a duty of care to all of our staff, whether employed directly or indirectly. Accordingly, we have appointed an independent King's Counsel to conduct an investigation into the veracity of these complaints. To date, Mr. Lowe has yet to cooperate with this investigation. In addition to these allegations of a disturbing pattern of behaviour, Mr. Lowe has on at least 2 occasions made threats of physical violence against our party chairman. Accordingly, the matter is with the police. The Reform stands for the highest standards of conduct in public life. We will apply these standards without fear nor favour, including within our own party. Well, Rupert Lowe clapped back, everyone, telling the Daily Telegraph, I'm the victim of a witch hunt, and I'm innocent. Is it a surprise that allegations about me were made public the day after I made reasonable criticism of Nigel Farage? Let me be abundantly clear on one thing to begin. There is no credible evidence against me. None has been provided. Reform has removed me from the party before any investigation has started. These allegations aren't even directed at me. They have deliberately conflated the complaints to insinuate that I am guilty. I will not tolerate these falsehoods, and discussions have already taken place with my legal team. Is it a surprise that these allegations were made public the day after I made reasonable criticisms of Nigel Farage and the Reform leadership? It is a witch hunt, plain for all to see. I have been entirely frozen out of the Reform machine over the last few months in a deliberate and calculated way. I have tried and tried to restore communication. I have failed categorically. Despite repeated requests for regular meetings, policy debate, and even the most basic level of communication, I am ridiculed and insulted. There were 5 MPs we could have fitted in a black cab. Getting together for a weekly meeting is not beyond the wit of man. Yes, I am not your usual politician. I am fortunate to be wealthy in my own right and donate my entire net MP salary to local charities. I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this to change the way our country is governed. Do I need to spend my weekends trudging around Great Yarmouth talking about bins? No, but I love it. Being Great Yarmouth's MP is the biggest honour in my professional life. I have been betrayed many times in my life, but never so ferociously by individuals I once called friends. Nobody even bothered to call me to ask me what really happened. If they did, I would have told them that the individual involved only raised issues after the disciplinary process had started following a serious offence. Anybody involved in the running of a business will know how these complaints can be weaponized by bitter individuals. Parliamentary HR were involved at every step of the way and were fully supportive of the steps taken. But this is not about that. It is about me and a complete inability for the Reform leadership to even accept the most mild constructive criticism. The allegations against me from the chairman relate to an incident in December, but he only reported them to the police the day after my reasonable questioning was published. Take from that what you will. Now, I believe the chairman is Zia Youssef. That's who he's referring to. I don't feel sorry for myself. I feel sorry for the millions of decent British men and women who put their faith in Reform. They deserve better than this vicious charade. Will members be pleased to know that their fees are being spent on hiring expensive lawyers to investigate their own MPs with zero credible evidence? Everything has been put at risk. Everything. The future of the right in Britain is now in peril. How can Reform claim to be a party awaiting government when they can't even follow basic process? They even botched the release of their statement, failing to say I've been suspended, then clarifying, then removing the whip. It's impressive incompetence. Reform has been rising in the polls for months, but this spectre of infighting will leave the party looking unserious and turn voters off. Infighting failed the Tories, and it's failing Reform. I want reform to be professional, to be fair, to be serious. We must offer a credible alternative to the uniparty that has failed so spectacularly. The leadership's behaviour this week has undermined that cause, not only in the eyes of the electorate, but also in those of serious individuals across business and industry that any party of government needs to win over. On multiple occasions, I've invited Nigel Farage for dinner over the last few months. Every single one has been refused or ignored. My one and only summons from Nigel to Reform HQ, I was unable to be met at such short notice. No further invitation was extended after that. Again, I offer a public invitation to Nigel. Let's have dinner and resolve this in the matter that our members, supporters and country would expect, any time, any place. Removing me from the party before any investigation has even started is a cowardly act that undermines that entire cause. Reform and Britain deserve better. Hear, hear. This is not what courageous leadership looks like. Removing someone at even the slightest hint of an allegation. Anyone can make allegations. But people have a right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Here, it's been turned the other way round. Poor Rupert has just been dragged through the mud before any sort of inquiry has been made, before the system has had a chance to work itself out, and I don't believe that any of these allegations have any sort of veracity to them, or any credibility whatsoever. It's just absolute nonsense. It's something that's being used to tarnish Rupert Lowe and to run him out of the party and eventually run him out of Parliament. I, like a lot of other people, had very high hopes for reform at the beginning of the year. I would even go ahead and say that I became a member of Reform just based on the absolute pettiness and stupidity of Kemi Badenoch and the Tories. But after seeing this, nah, I'm done. Resigning my membership. Not going to be a member of the Reform anymore, because this is not what a serious political party does. And it's clear that Reform is not run by serious people. Ben Habib, talking with the Sunday Times, on the radio side, and also video, having this to say.
The complaints made about Rupert are entirely 100% trumped up, designed to give the party cover. Because, well, two of the complaints about bullying women actually have nothing to do with Rupert. They're women in his office who weren't, in fact, bullied by him. It's very clever, the press release put out by Reform. It implies, but doesn't explicitly state that Rupert is the culprit.
So he didn't even do it. This was some other bad actor in his office. And they're trying to make it sound like it's his fault, which it isn't. It's ridiculous.
In fact, Rupert isn't the one that's being held to account. And then the other complaint made against Rupert, and I think the police have been informed, is that he said some hurty words to Zayar Yusuf in December.
Oh no, hurtful words. However will we go on?
Now, if they were of a seriously threatening nature and he said them back in December, why weren't the police informed immediately? Why did it take so long? This is just a knee-jerk reaction from Reform UK designed to discredit Rupert. Please bear in mind that Rupert...
No, they're looking for an excuse to get rid of him because he doesn't like them asking the hard questions. Lieutenant Yamada, thank you for redeeming first. Lurking on mute. Perfectly fine, perfectly fine. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well.
He's 67 years old. He's had an unblemished career across multiple areas of business, including running Southampton Football Club. He was a Brexit Party MEP with me. There's been no complaint ever made about his character during his time as a Brexit Party MEP or subsequently. This is all just trumped up to give Reform UK an excuse to, sack Rupert.
Yeah, they just want to get rid of him. They don't like the hard questions that he's asking. And really, they're just the questions that people are bringing to him. he is fulfilling his duty as a public servant, listening to the people and bringing their concerns to the party. Exactly what would be expected of him. Rupert tweeting out a few hours ago, oh, look at that sweet face, look at that. If you want real loyalty, get a dog. Yeah, it's sad, but the puppers, they won't turn on you like that. They're loyal. They'll love you unconditionally. Let's see some other things from Rupert Lowe. I think he summed it up rather well, but 7 hours ago, I want to say a sincere thank you to everyone who's contacted me with kind words and support. I simply cannot respond to you all, but please know it is appreciated. I'm off for a walk with my wife in the sun. What a glorious day. I suggest you do the same. Yeah, times like this, you gotta just take a step back, go outside and touch grass. Some other things he's tweeted about. Lee Anderson. Expected a lot better out of him, but here we are. At Reform UK, we have a monumental task on our hands in order to save our country. There's a huge amount of pressure on Nigel and our team to deliver for the British public. Again, it's always about bloody Nigel, isn't it? I do not come into politics for personal gain like my colleagues. I stepped forward because I wanted to help save my country. Joining Reform UK is the best thing I've ever done in politics, and this is our best chance to our last chance to turn things around in our country. But politics is a team game. We must work as a team. I was the first ever Reform UK MP, and my first loyalty will always be to my country. I have a great deal of respect for Rupert Lowe, and as his chief whip, I've bent over backwards to be fair with him since he entered Parliament. But his unwillingness to cooperate in an investigation into his behaviour has meant the parliamentary party cannot function effectively whilst Rupert is a Reform UK MP. There's too much at stake, and by not taking decisive action, we'd risk losing everything we built up. I bear no malice towards Rupert, and to remove the whip was a deeply painful thing to do, but delivering for our country must come first. No man is bigger than our party. Lee Anderson, Chief Whip. Response from Rupert Lowe. Lee, what you have said is simply not true. I've spoken to the KC multiple times over the last week. She's confirmed again and again. No credible evidence against me has been provided to her by you or the party. I must have had 10 different conversations with her. To say I have not cooperated is false. That is an outright lie. Launching this vindictive assault before an investigation has even started is quite frankly pathetic. Our members, supporters and country deserve so much better than this. I thought you were a friend. Evidently, I was wrong. Western Intel also responding. Reform UK is showing its true colours, trial by media, backstabbing, outright lies instead of fairness and due process. If there was real evidence, why rush this public smear campaign? Looks like leadership wanted Rupert Lowe gone no matter what. Disgraceful. JB just shows reform for the party it really is. All parties are a leaf of the same global agenda tree. I've never trusted Richard Tice, but was hopeful that Reform and Nigel Farage would do something about the mass illegal immigration. Farage has already backtracked on deportations and lost or got rid of Bin Habib. The viciousness of the statement was vile. A formal statement on someone they support would not put any details other than 2 complaints are being made. We do not believe and fully support Rupert Lowe. However, officially an investigation must be made. I'm finished with them. Hopefully after you're cleared, you'll join forces with these chaps here, who are all for make the UK great again. Surely there must be others too. I believe you're innocent. But the justice system appears to be as corrupt as most politicians, thinking about many of the made-up charges that were pinned to President Trump. Good luck, Rupert. Wishing you speedy success and triumph. Looks like a lot of this that Rupert Lowe, this very long tweet. Yes, I've been outspoken on issues, immigration, rape gangs, deportations, the rapid way in which our country is changing. And yes, this has not been appreciated by some within Reform. Let me be clear, I do not care. I'll say what I believe is right, even if that upsets certain egos. Does requesting regular meetings of MPs make me a monster? Is asking to even just see policy before it's made public unreasonable? Is it fair to be insulted because I want people to finally talk to each other? I've tried and tried and tried to resolve all this behind closed doors. I can only smash my head against a brick wall for so long. Put simply, reform has been handed a priceless gift to those individuals who have presided over our country's relentless decline. Here's another one. I feel so sorry for millions of decent British men and women from all over the country who put their faith in reform. They've been let down by this malicious circus. You all deserve so much better. And that got some of the Lotus Eaters lads responding. I just want a party capable of fixing the country I intend to raise my children in. The cause is all that matters. Rupert's response simply, sorry, Connor. The balding biker responding with a bit of Photoshop. Redwall Pleb tweeting, why did Zia Yusuf, a 38-year-old man, decide to put in a complaint about you, a 67-year-old man, and your physical threats only a day after your after your Daily Mail interview, Rupert? Why did he wait 3 months to complain if he felt so threatened by someone 30 years his senior? Sean tweeting, I lost my faith when Nigel Farage lied about Tommy Robinson having a criminal record for hitting women. But now I've lost my faith in reform after this attack on a gentleman and a great politician, Rupert Lowe. And Andrew here, seriously, you would join this instead of the Homeland Party. We'll get to this in just a moment, chat. UKIP Party, denouncing ethno-nationalism. The new right denounces and rejects ethno-nationalism and far-right ideology. 100% the Messiah complex has been proven completely factual. People joined reform as did you for Rupert, not the others. He's a true statesman, a patriot that cares for us. The others care for themselves like the vast majority of the Unit Party. You in many people's eyes were our saviour, not Farage, Tice, and definitely not the useless Lee Anderson. He's about as much use as a chocolate fireguard. Reform don't deserve you, but the British people do. Find somewhere new to hang your hat, many will follow. And indeed, many have followed. And people are sort of looking, being left with, kind of feeling directionless. It's like, where do we go from here? Well, there's one group, apparently. Still need to look into this a bit further. They call themselves the Homeland Party. Don't know too much about them. I'm still... If they are to be believed, they've grown to over 1,000 members, so tiny fraction of Reform and the Tories and Labour. But hey, there it is. Colleagues are telling me we're getting a new member sign-up every minute for the Homeland Party. They responded by saying Nigel Farage is more interested in removing his own colleagues than the millions of illegal immigrants from our homeland. Their response to Reform UK's statement, Nigel, you're removing the wrong people. Homeland Party member Pete North calling it months ago. This was a tweet back in December of 2024, just last year. The reason I think Rupert Lowe will be the next person forced out of Reform is because he's in tune with the membership and he listens to them. As such, he becomes the wishing well for members who want Reform to take a more robust stance. He is then obliged to press Farage on certain issues, doing so from a position of strength and popularity. Farage won't like this one bit. Lowe then has two choices. He either pipes down and toes the line, or a rift opens up between him and Farage will get rid of him. I doubt Lowe is the kind of man to be told to shut up. Georgenius responding, my money is on Farage losing this one. Lowe is doing God's work and Reform supporters will not tolerate Farage booting him out. Dean Edge, I imagine Kimi Badenoch is having a best weekend since she was elected leader. Reform have destroyed themselves. Dawn, membership will collapse. This might be some wishful thinking from William Pole here, but hey, I suppose anything's possible in the end. Rupert will take over the Conservative Party and use the organisation. While there is hope he can haul back the lost voters and track the big donors back, Kimi's going nowhere and everybody should now know it. Paul Golding. How fucking convenient. Ben Habib is a principled patriot. Removed. Rupert Lowe, principled patriot. Sabotaged. Muslim chairman inserted. Failed Tories welcomed. Can everyone not see the pattern yet? Yeah, it is really starting to look like controlled opposition now. Meme from John Smith here. Reform UK, the last slim chance of saving Britain walks by. stopped by Nigel Farage's ego and a dodgy gay Muslim. Farage immediately went into attack mode. He's incapable of acknowledging constructive criticism. Everything's a plot to get him. This is Farage's fundamental insecurity. He cannot share the limelight. Ben Habib has actually been talking about this for some time. I think when he was a guest on the podcast The Lotus Eaters, he did mention that. It's like the one thing that's really holding Nigel Farage and Reform UK back is Nigel Farage. Because he just cannot brook any sort of criticism whatsoever. He cannot share the limelight. As such, there will never be a Reform cabinet of credible figures. It will only ever be Farage's entourage of low IQ sycophants. The persistent amateurism will never be addressed because Farage and his inner circle of loyalists simply do not recognize the problem. Polling success is their only metric of success, and by that measure they have acquitted themselves. On that basis, any Reform government will be an embarrassing shit show that will fall apart inside a year, and nobody will have them back for the second term. This is the Reform catch-22 in full effect. It cannot evolve beyond a messianic cult with Farage at the helm. But it cannot exist without him because nobody who could replace Farage will ever be allowed to thrive. Reform's fate was sealed as incompetent populist party the moment Farage came back. For sure it can achieve electoral successes, but it will never overcome its structural, intellectual deficiencies. At most, Reform is a stepping stone to break the stranglehold of the Uniparty, but it will be short-lived. They'll make a pig's ear of it, just as Johnson did with Brexit. And the Uniparty will reassert its control in no time. Continued support for Reform is throwing good money after bad. They must be stepped over. So there you have it, chat. Rip and pepperoni. Reform UK, it was good while it lasted, but it certainly didn't last very long, did it? Maybe you can find some hope in the Homeland Party, but I don't know. Only 1,000 members. They've got a long way to go. The admin team is swamped with new memberships, so here's an FAQ so we don't need to keep answering the same questions. I'm still a Reform member until my subscription ends next month and can't find a way to cancel. Can I join Homeland Party now, or must I wait? Join us now and tick the activism box, add a comment if you'd like to meet up or help out. Reform runs a subscription only, not a real membership system, and offers no cancellation option. Emailing them to cancel or delete their data? They'll ignore you. We believe there's even a court case pending over this. If you want to tick them off, though, email them to say you're joining Homeland Party. Cancelling my Reform membership to join the Homeland Party is one of the best things I've ever done politically. We'll see. We shall see. More coverage. Everyone feeling a bit directionless after this. Dame Andrea Jenkins. You're asking the question, who else have we got to save Britain? Former Conservative MP dismissed concerns about Reform's internal conflicts, suggesting media scrutiny was unfair. And that this is normal political behaviour. She told GB News, I called for Rishi Sunak to resign when I knew that Labour was going to get a supermajority. We needed a new leader at the time. But there's a time and place for it, you know, and I think that what it is with Reform is that the media wants to jump on them anyway, give us a party that doesn't have spats. Every party has spats, but because there are only 5 MPs, there are political egos in every party, people rub each other up the wrong way. That's politics. Labour's making a heck of a mess of the country. We've got to actually pull together for our country. I don't know. Somehow I don't see it. But yeah, Dame Andrea Jenkins basically saying, look, it's a spat, we got to move past it. And hey, Reform's the only option. Who else we got? Because we're 4 years away from the next election. Really don't think this is the way now. I think they may have really stepped in at this time. They had to hold on for 4 years, an eternity in politics. And doesn't look like they're going to be able to pull it off. I just don't see it. Political commentator Aman Bergal warning Reform UK against airing its dirty laundry in public. He emphasised parties serious about governance must maintain public unity. He said it's very rare for an insurgent party to rise in the polls like this because, let's be honest, they're talking about what really matters to people on the doorstep. whether it's immigration, rape gangs, or the day-to-day real attacks by the Labour government on pensioners, farmers, all the rest of it. So I think one of the first things I learned back when I was a Conservative Party candidate is that you don't air your dirty laundry in public. You need a party that's serious about government and made up of serious people who are ready to lead. He says, I think this is a storm in a teacup. And it also shows us reform does need to have a better handle on how to deal with such things which are inevitable in any growing political party. Meanwhile, political commentator Benedict Spence claiming the internal crisis engulfing Reform UK is like sixth form politics and suggests the Populist Party's early troubles reveal concerning similarities to traditional politics. He said it's all about who's in Nigel's gang and who is not. And if you're not in Nigel's gang, well, there's just not much to be said. This is obviously based on an unwise interview that Rupert Lowe gave, but the reaction is not that of a party that seems particularly secure, nor of a leader who seems particularly secure. As I say, I think it can be fixed. It's a slight eruption very early on for the party that's in its embryonic stage, but it really doesn't inspire much confidence, put it that way. He compared Reform's behaviour to the Tories, who operated almost like sixth-form politicians, focused on personalities, gossip and tawdry things. Asked about Farage's leadership, Spence said, I'm not going to go down the Rupert Lowe route and say he's not the best for the job. That's not for me to say. When there are only 5 of you in the parliamentary party, you need to have a better grasp on discipline. Also, when these things blow up, you need to have a more dignified way of dealing with them, rather than amplifying them into the public sphere even further. Ben Habib, also talking to GB News, hitting out at the leadership, claiming Lowe's suspension was due to concerns about reform not democratising. And he said it was an accident that's waiting to happen. Nigel put my disagreements for how the party is run down to me being bitter and twisted. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with having a proper constitution and structure within the party by which members and senior members can give their views to the leader. Democratising the party was a key component of Reform UK, going from being an insurgency to being a party of government. Rupert's obviously been fighting internally to achieve this, and Nigel hadn't done it. Notwithstanding all the public statements, Nigel still controls Reform UK. And it's only his word that goes. If you have any dissent whatsoever, Reform cuts up like an adolescent prickly teenager that hadn't got the confidence to deal with that criticism in a grown-up way. It's come back to Rupert, and they've sought to rubbish him. There is not one iota of truth in any of the allegations. Rupert Lowe's an upstanding member of the public, and he is in politics because he fears for the future of this country. He's given up his MP salary to sit in Parliament. He speaks unadulterated, good, common sense, and he's pro-British in a way Nigel Farage is not. Rupert is by far one of the best MPs in Parliament. Reform rubbishing him shows Reform is not up to the job. Nigel Farage needs to get a grip or frankly get out of the party. Get out of the way and let a party that is going to rescue the United Kingdom do their job, because right now, Reform is not doing it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future videos, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. You can also follow me on Twitter @LordRexworth for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. And if you want to support the channel, check out my Coffee or Throne pages. Links are in the description. Finally, be sure to visit lordrexworth.com and follow me across all platforms. That's lordrexworth.com. Until next time, I wish you all the best, and God bless.